Today, I want to talk about Path of Exile's biggest problem. No, this is not going to be entirely doomer content. I'm very excited about the state of the game. I'm very hyped about 3.25, but I do think there's a big problem at the core of Path of Exile right now that needs to be discussed. The core gameplay loop of Path of Exile is go into a map, kill all the monsters, fight the boss, and leave. Sometimes you fight bosses, sometimes you use side contents, just Sanctum or Delve, but ultimately it's a mapping-based game. I believe that Path of Exile has been moving away from fun in that content. There's an inherent problem in an ARPG where you need to balance the enjoyment of the game with the rewards that the player is getting, because it's all about finding loot. The more loot you find, generally the happier players are for a time. And I feel like Path of Exile's mechanics in leagues lately have been focusing more on just dropping loot for players and not actually having fun or interesting mechanics to engage with. Fun doesn't necessarily mean complexity. Breaches are fun. A circle expands slowly from the center, monsters appear, you fight them all before the timer runs out, and then you move on to the next one. I think most people believe that breaches are fun. They're not very rewarding right now, so people don't do them, but the second they're buffed, everyone's going to be doing them again. Legion is fun content. You press the button in the center, you have a certain amount of time to break out all the enemies, and then you fight them, and they drop fun and interesting rewards. These are simple systems that are fun to interact with, and we have gotten years out of these mechanics. But if you look at the recent history of Path of Exile, we are stepping away from fun in favor of more bloated, complex mechanics that have a lot going on, but aren't necessarily fun to engage with. So I think the most important way to look at it is if the league didn't provide extra reward, that is to say you'd get about as many rewards as you would from doing a regular map, would you still interact with it? And I feel like recently the answer has been no pretty consistently. We'll start with Necropolis League. This one's pretty obvious. It was fiddling with a lot of corpses, tons of bloat, tons of items, spending forever in the Necropolis trying to min-max and line up all your corpses in the perfect way, aligning monster types and adjacents and columns and rows. And then in the map, all you did was just click on these big bulky boxes that actually got in the way and ended up being annoying more than they were convenient. Then you had the pre-map stuff where you would fiddle with the monsters and their modifiers. That was kind of interesting, but it wasn't necessarily fun. It just added a layer of customization to your mapping. So if you think about how Necropolis was fun to interact with, the only people that really enjoyed it were the ones who were crafting giga endgame items. And we'll get back to that. Affliction had some of the most passionate players I've ever seen in Path of Exile, and all of them were very much enjoying the league mechanic. But what was actually fun about the league mechanic? The monsters were challenging, and that can be fun, but if it didn't drop the most loot we've ever seen in a league, would it be fun to fight Shaper tier monsters in every map? Probably not. It certainly wasn't the vacuuming of wisps at the end of every zone that you had to do after you searched through the woods, then running back through and rimming the map. That certainly was not fun. Some people, including myself, did enjoy the solving of the woods and trying to figure out the best way to path, but at the end of the day, Affliction was primarily loot driven, and the enjoyment that people got from it was because they were the richest they've ever been. Then we have Ancestor, which I probably will skip for the purposes of this video. It was basically an entirely different game put into Path of Exile, and the only thing that changed your mapping experience was silver coins dropping on the ground. So if you didn't like going and doing the totem mechanic, which basically required a different build or a super high-end meta build to compete all the way at the top end, you just didn't interact with it. Crucible might be the worst offender here. We skipped the whole mechanic to run through to the end just to get to the reward table and didn't fight any of the monsters. It was so pointless to fight monsters in this zone that just about everybody I knew ran through the entire mechanic and didn't fight any of them just to get their crafted item. The crafted items were very cool. Crucible was a great league. I really enjoyed it. But was that mechanic fun? Sanctum League was a lot of fun. I did enjoy it a lot. I think a lot of people had fun in Sanctum League. And the focus seemed to be about creating an enjoyable experience. But that was in 2022. We are in potentially our last league of 2024, and it seems like it's been a while since we've had a mechanic that was designed just for fun. At the end of the day, this is a game. It is not just a slot machine. and the mechanics that we engage with should be fun. I think there is a bit of a delusion about whether or not things are fun based on how much currency people can extract from them, and I think Affliction is probably the best example of this. It was the most tedious league, but also the most rewarding, and therefore a lot of people really liked it. But how long are you going to like doing that for before you burn out or get RSI? I would really like in 3.2.5 to see GTG return to fun. Now, I know fun is different to everybody. It's a game, not everybody likes the same things, but when the effort goes into rewards and not into the enjoyment of the game, it shows. We don't need 75 different coffins with aligning monster types and convoluted systems. Simple is fun. Just ask everybody who loves Sentinel. So let's hope Boat League is a fun league, and I will see you all on the stream, twitch.tv/AER0___. If you want to support me here, you can like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Do the little notification bell thing too if you want. Thank you all for watching, and as always, take care.